Today, we're going to crack open a fascinating piece of ancient wisdom, Proverbs chapter 12. But for the next few minutes, let's look at this in a different way. Let's just treat it as what it is, a nearly 3,000-year-old psychological profile, a really practical guide to human behavior and, its predictable outcomes. So, it all boils down to one question, a question every single generation asks. What's the actual blueprint for a good life? A life that's stable, fulfilling, and, well, successful. The author here gives a surprisingly direct answer, and it's not about some grand philosophy. It's all about the small, daily choices that you and I make every day. The whole chapter is built on this one major contrast. It sets up two totally different paths in life. On one side, you've got who the text calls the righteous. Just think of this as someone with a growth mindset, someone who's constructive and thinks long-term. They love to learn, they make just plans, and they build a stable life. But on the other side, you've got the wicked, someone who's more destructive, focused on those short-sighted gains. They scheme, they mislead, and they can never seem to get a firm footing. Every single verse that follows is just exploring the real-world consequences of walking down one of these two paths. So, here's our game plan for breaking this all down. First, we'll dig into the foundation, those two core character paths. Then, we'll see how those paths show up in our words, our work, and even what's going on in our own heads. And finally, we'll look at the inevitable outcome, where each path ultimately leads. All right, first up, the two paths. This is all about the foundation of your character. The text basically argues that your life is like a building, and you're either building it on solid rock or you're building it on sand. So here's the big takeaway. The choices you make are literally creating your foundation. The righteous person, who's rooted in things like justice and knowledge, builds something that just can't be shaken. Their house, their legacy, it stands firm. But a life built on shortcuts and wickedness, it has zero stability. It cannot be established. It's basically a house of cards just waiting to fall. And the blueprint is clear. It always does. Okay, so how does this play out in the real world, day to day? Well, according to this text, it all starts with the power of our words. See, the author of Proverbs doesn't see speech as just, noise. It's an active force. Your words are tools. They can either build people up and heal them, or they can cut them down and destroy them. They're either a sword or a salve. What's so interesting here is just how tangible the effects of our speech are. It's not just poetry. The tongue of the wise literally brings healing, it rescues people, it fills your own life with good things. And on the flip side, the speech of the wicked is a weapon that pierces, it's a trap that catches others, and it's a tool to actively mislead. The consequences are real and they are direct. And this verse just nails it, doesn't it? Think about that imagery for a second. Rash, thoughtless words aren't just little mistakes. They're like a physical weapon, a piercing sword that actually wounds people. But thoughtful, wise words, they do the exact opposite. They're like medicine, a balm that brings healing. It's such a powerful metaphor for something we do without even thinking every single day. And it doesn't stop there. The text makes this incredible claim about permanence. Truth, it says, has lasting power. It endures. A lie, though, a lie is fragile. It might work for a second, but it has no staying power. It lasts only a moment. The blueprint is suggesting that building on truth is building for the long haul, while building on lies is just setting yourself up for a momentary gain and then an eventual collapse. It's a choice between lasting value and a fleeting advantage. Okay, next up, work and wisdom. So now we move from the world of words to the really practical world of our work. And here, your character gets tested by your effort, and guess what? The results are just as predictable. The formula here is incredibly simple, almost like a two-step recipe. Step 1, work your land. Basically, focus on real, tangible, productive work. Don't chase fantasies. And the result? You'll have plenty. Step 2, be diligent. Consistent, focused effort doesn't just bring you stuff, it actually leads to authority and leadership. And here's that contrast again. The diligent person not only gains authority, but also appreciates what they have, The lazy person, well, they end up working for other people. Verse 11 says they chase fantasies. I mean, that's the ancient version of get-rich-quick schemes, right? Dreaming about success without actually putting in the work. And the outcome is always a lack of judgment and ultimately a lack of resources. Now, let's shift gears from the external world of what we say and what we do to the internal world of our own minds. Because according to this blueprint, everything we've talked about, our actions, our words, our work ethic, it all starts with our state of mind. The text points out this core psychological flaw it calls the fool's way. So what is it? It's basically the ancient way of describing a dangerous, fixed mindset. That destructive belief that you're always right. And this mindset makes a person completely unteachable. I mean, if you can't listen to advice or accept that you might be wrong, you can't grow. You're just trapped in your own ignorance. So what's going on inside your head as a result? This lays it out perfectly. If you are planning for peace and harmony, your inner world is filled with joy. A simple good word can totally lift your spirits. But if you're constantly scheming or devising evil, your heart is filled with deceit and anxiety. The text is crystal clear. Your emotional state is a direct result of the thoughts you choose to entertain. And this brings us to the grand finale, the inevitable outcome. The text argues that all these small daily choices and what we think, what we say, what we do, they aren't just isolated events. They add up. They're all leading you down a path toward a final, unavoidable destination. So here it is, the final tally, the scoreboard of where each path ends. The righteous person finds favor, people respect their wisdom, and they navigate away from trouble. The wicked person, though, they're condemned, despised for their mindset, trapped by the very words they speak, and their life is just filled with trouble. It's a really stark and clear summary of consequences. And the chapter ends with this ultimate promise. After laying out all the evidence, all the cause and effect, the final conclusion is so simple and yet so profound. Follow the path of wisdom, integrity, and diligence, and what you'll find at the end is life itself.